Hey everybody, this is Jet, and I want to welcome you all to our little show here on Gimme Metal. Today we have a special guest with us on the show. We have Schmier of our favorite German metal thrashers, Destruction. Welcome to the show, Schmier.
Hey, great being back here today.
So, Destruction over the years has experienced it all, from travel nightmares to theft to injury, and just when you think you've seen it all, this pandemic strikes. So what was the band doing prior to the pandemic? I mean, were you guys planning tours or on tour at the time?
Yeah, we were actually on tour, and our last show that we had was in Italy, in Milano. And basically what happened is we had to cancel the last show because the government was not allowing concerts anymore. So we canceled our last show of the tour and basically went to holidays. And we had a second leg of the tour coming some weeks later in Europe. And that, of course, got canceled pretty fast. And I was actually on holidays then, and I got kind of stuck on my holidays because all the flights got canceled, and there was big problems to travel for a while. And over a very short time, we knew this is a very bad situation, and all the festivals got canceled really quick. Also, I think we lost about 100 shows so far this year. And we knew right away that once this pandemic started, that it will be impossible to do festivals, and it's going to take a while to come back. And when the lockdown came, of course, we all knew that we have to find a way to go through this. And basically, the live album was a great option because we had this album in our pockets. We didn't have it mixed yet, but we have recorded last summer when Born to Perish came out. We played this festival, and it was a great show. But we didn't have a plan for releasing it actually. And I told the guys in the label, "Hey, listen, we're gonna be stuck at home. There will be no shows for the fans. Why don't we release a live album now? And let's do it a different way. Let's release a streaming album first, so people can listen to the album right away when they sit home, and they can go to work, and everybody's in home office, and they need some music, And Nuclear Blast luckily agreed that we can do it this way because it's a very unusual way to first release the streaming and then do the physical copies a couple of months later. So I'm lucky that the label agreed, and the album kept me busy. We had to mix it, we did some video clips, and now I'm doing the promotion since actually several weeks. I think we all expected a live album to have not much press response, but was actually a lot of interviews, crazy amount of interviews actually, because of course Corona, a lot of bands pushed back their records, and there's of course a lot of interest about this Curiosity live album that we did. And for us it was a life-saving thing, connected with the fans, made a little money, stayed busy, had some positive vibes. That's all you needed in the pandemic.
So, when you guys were over there at Partisan recording, what were you recording for back then?
We didn't record the album. It was a friend of ours that he was there. He's a professional. He has a professional mobile studio. He records at festivals and stuff. Mm-hmm. But he actually was there for another band, and he recorded our show without telling us. So he came to our dressing room after the show and said, "Hey guys, I recorded your show, and great one, and awesome. Here's the show. You want to have it?" And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And he basically said, "Give me some Jack and Coke and get me drunk, and you can have the tapes." That was the deal. and we were like, "Okay, that sounds great. Let's take it." And we get him drunk, and we never thought that we would release this album so quick. We thought maybe we use this as bonus tracks, or let's see, one day we might need it for a live album. And luckily we did this because nobody usually has a live album in the pockets. It was something you usually plan. It's also, it's costing money, and it's costing, normally you also film at the same time for a DVD, so you need a camera team. We had a camera team there that was recording our interviews and our backstage scenario for a Destruction movie that we're cutting at the moment. Mm-hmm. And they also filmed a little bit of the live show. And out of that, 5 cameras that we had, we were cutting 3 video clips also for this live album.
And we saw a bunch of those video clips already. And what did you think when you saw these? I mean, they were so... The experiences was like you were right there, and it's kind of like you had mentioned. It's nice for the fans that weren't able to see you play live, you know, with this lineup. And what was the vibe like at Party San? I mean, to watch it, it just looks like everything fell into place. It wasn't raining. There was...
Yeah, sometimes when you come home, it's either way. It can be a great show, like Homecoming, and people celebrate with you, or it can be like, oh no, it's destruction again. We saw that before, you know. So, but this was the first case. It was the people really were excited, and the new album came out that weekend. So it was the first time we played 2 new songs. So it was kind of a world premiere, and we were of course excited. And we didn't know the live album get cut, you know. So we weren't nervous. We had a great show the day before at another great festival in Czech Republic, the Brutal Assault. Mm-hmm. So we had a great weekend of 2 fantastic festivals. So it was a great weekend, and we had this camera team that I'm talking about with us that were filming for this Destruction movie. So it was a really good vibe that weekend, and I think you can tell when you see the videos.
Absolutely, and now the physical copies are coming out in July, but you also got the fans kind of involved by initiating that interactive campaign, you know, featuring the map where your fans could sign in and mark the location of the first time they saw the band. Now, the resulting world map is going to be part of the album, and everyone who participated will be mentioned by name on a poster that comes out with the strictly limited album's physical version. So how did that aspect of this all go?
Yeah, we said, you know, those are special times. We have to do everything differently. So we do the streaming first, then we do the physical album. Also, I convinced No Club Labs to do a picture disc, you know, because I think we have a really cool cover. Picture discs are kind of out those days, you know, but the label agreed luckily on it, and then we had the idea to include the poster with the fan names. You know, nobody ever did this before, so we had to find a way to, you know, to register everybody, and you know, how could people contribute their names, and it was kind of a very spontaneous idea that we kind of realized together with a webmaster, and at the beginning, the first 2 days, my webmaster called me up and said, dude, it's crazy, you know, like hundreds of people every hour, you know. I'm like, holy shit. He was really worried. He said, if this goes on, we're not gonna have enough space on the poster, you know. And but it was the first 3 days were really wild, and then it kind of slowed down a little bit, and then we managed to put everybody on the poster, but it's really tight. It's a lot of names. When you finally see the poster, it's like, wow, it's I think it's almost 2,000 people, and yeah. But it's great, you know. You know, with this campaign, you got a lot of reactions, a lot of old stories, people sending old pictures, old concert tickets, and you know, there was a lot of love involved. You know, a lot of old stories came up again, and that was great, especially in the pandemic when we were all sitting home a little bit frustrated and stuff. Mm-hmm. So
and you're right, and they could get involved a little bit more, you know, and it kind of gives them something to do instead of, like you said, you're in this pandemic, you're depressed, you're home, and now you got something to do that you could share with other people too. So now tell us a little bit about getting this footage all mixed and mastered, and how were you able to do this in what seemed like such a short freaking period of time? I mean, the digital version was released in the early part of May.
Yeah, we told the label, if you do this, we have to do this fast, you know. So luckily, most people involved had time, you know, because the pandemic, the studio was free. So I sent the tapes to the studio, and we did a rough mix, and we are doing everything in Switzerland. So we couldn't go to Switzerland to basically be in the studio to mix the album. So we were mixing over the internet, basically sending back and forth sound files, and sending emails and WhatsApp messages with corrections and everything. We did this before, so it was not a new thing. But of course, it was a little weird that we couldn't go to the studio. We couldn't cross the border
right.
at that time. and also our cover artist that we usually use. He's in Hungary. He was very busy. He had some deadlines. He said, "Guys, I cannot do this in 2 weeks now. This cover, it's not possible. I'm working on this and that." And so I asked my girlfriend to do the cover, and yeah, she did a great job. And we did everything a little bit differently this time. Also, same goes for the video clips. As I said before, we didn't have material. Then I asked the guys from the film team that were there at the festival, and the director said, "Hey, I'm gonna cut you guys video clips. Let me see what I have on the material, because, of course, normally when you do like a full production video, you have at least 10 cameras. You have some GoPros also located at several places." And we didn't have so many cameras, so he said, we have to do some tricks, maybe some slow-mo here and there. But at the end, the videos turned out good and authentic, and we're very lucky to have them, because it would have been sad to bring out a live album with no picture. I think it's the people love the visual, and it's great we finally had a little bit of material.
And it was nice to see. It was so clear, and like I said, the weather, played a big part in that video footage as well, with the cameras working. It came out so well. And I was going to ask you about that album art. I'm like, how the heck did you get somebody to put that together so fast too? And now we know it was an inside job, Schmier.
Yeah, you gotta have a good team around you,
Now, the physical versions are going to be available July 17th on Nuclear Blast. So what are some of the formats these are going to be on?
Yeah, as I said before, we managed to force the label to do a old school picture vinyl. That's
cool.
something that doesn't have such a high demand anymore, but it's a cult thing from the 80s, and our fans still love it. And we have several colors also of the vinyl, and then we have a digipack that is the limited edition, also with the poster, basically.
And as some of these countries are slowly opening back up with this gradual opening, does the band have anything scheduled for the remainder of this year?
We actually have canceled a lot of shows, a lot of tours also, but we also have stuff that stayed on the schedule. We have a tour in November, December that is a postponed tour from April that we set new dates for. So this tour in the European tour is still planned together with Warbringer and Crysis. And we have we're living very close to Switzerland, and Switzerland is actually weeks ahead of the pandemic. They were one of the first countries that had the lockdown. They had very few cases. Life is back in Switzerland since 4 weeks already. So they're doing shows since 2 weeks, and we're having a show in Switzerland in one of our favorite clubs. It's a huge place, but they have like a special security concept that only allows 300 people paying. The club is very big. It holds like up to 1,500 people, so there will be a lot of space. And it's a big production, big stage and everything.
So, Schmier, a couple of weekends ago, you played in Switzerland, and now we talked a little bit about the venue earlier, but tell us how it went the day of the show. I mean, what were some of the protocols for both fans and bands that were put in place for this?
I mean, Switzerland had a very early lockdown and very low corona cases. And even they had some ups and downs in the last days. They opened up everything basically some weeks ago already. So they're back in business, and they've been allowing concerts since several weeks, small concerts and restricted concerts, up to 300 people when you have the space for it. It's basically you have to guarantee the 1.5 meters distance, and you also, I think it's basically 40% of the capacity of the place you're allowed to bring in, and that was the concept we had for our show. So they allowed 300 people in a 1,500 venue, which means a lot of space for the crowd, and it worked really well. Also, we mentioned to the kids to have some discipline and not overact and not over mosh pit and everything. And it's COVID, so you need some common sense. Even if you want to go crazy at the show, you shouldn't go too over crazy, because we are the role models now for what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks and months. And the crowd actually really behaved really nice. Of course, there was some action in a little pit, but not too much, not too crazy, not too long. And also when I told the crowd, keep distance, everybody, really, really was careful. I was impressed actually, and I think everybody that was at the show also felt safe. I mean, it's basically social distancing has something to do with common sense. Just keep a little distance and it's going to be okay. It's you see this in Europe. It's a very good example because we have very much of a different mentality here in Europe, in the south and in the north. The northern people, Scandinavians, are very distant people in general, and they have had almost no corona. Even Sweden, that had no lockdown, has not had so much corona. But in the southern countries here in Europe, where people are more like hardy and hugging and closer together, families living closer together, there was a lot of corona. So you see this already that it's a matter of just keeping distance. And I think what's going to come here also is the concept with masks. I know America has a big discussion about masks and the sense, but here in Europe, a couple of countries have early lockdown and early masks, like Czech Republic, and they had no corona. They had like 150 cases of corona or something. It's like nothing. So there's some sense in this all. And the concert, for us, it was kind of the moment to show the world that it's possible to do shows when people care and people are careful, when the club is big enough, And I think the people wouldn't even mind to go to concert with masks, if it's needed, because people want to go out again and have some fun, But it's not so easy. But for us, it was a great weekend. We had 2 shows. One was sold out. The other one was almost sold out, and it felt like a little bit of normal life came back.
And now, do you think other venues are going to start following a little bit more now?
It's not easy because you need to have the allowance from the governments, and it's not allowed in many countries yet. Here in Europe, luckily some countries are ahead. Like Switzerland tried now for a couple of weeks to do shows. Now they have more new restrictions. They are very careful at the moment because they had some increase also of numbers in the last weeks, which is not really high, but it's, when you open up everything, it's going to increase. It's normal. But some other countries, like the northern countries, like I mentioned, so Scandinavia, Finland is doing some first shows again also, and the Baltic states, Hungary is doing shows at the moment, Czech Republic, also smaller shows. But it's a start, and if you take step by step, cautious, and I think it's good to start slowly with a little audience in bigger rooms, and then we get some experience from it and see how we can do it. I know for America, it's something people cannot imagine at the moment, but here in Europe, it's life's back, and we need to find out how we can get a more kind of normal life, and especially for the whole entertainment industry that is completely smashed to the floor at the moment.
And now, you guys filmed this event too, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a camera team because we're doing a destruction movie since the whole this year and last year already. We filmed a lot of moments and shows and parts of our lives for destruction kind of movie documentary that we're doing with the film team. And they were also here this last weekend where we had the shows, and they filmed everything, and we said, hey, why don't we do like an after movie to show the people around the world that it's possible to do a concert, and there will be concerts after Corona. And we're actually right now just mixing some live songs and cutting the material, and hopefully like next week it's actually for you guys. Maybe go Google it. There will be a destruction after movie from those Corona shows, and to show the people how it's done, and that there's some hope for live music in the future. There's ways that, humans have always found ways.
Well, this is one of the first real shows we have seen of a metal band playing live, so, thank you for sharing this experience with us, and again, we wish you all the best, and again, thank you for coming on the show to talk with us today.
Thank you very much, my pleasure, and good luck for America. I know it's tough times at the moment, and Europe hopefully will show the world how, make the first cautious steps into a more brighter future. I think America is a big country, so it's very difficult to get the lockdowns and everything. So hopefully, good luck, America, and hopefully next year there will be shows again, and stay healthy.